Friends, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is all about my post-coloring page routine. I have developed a little bit of a thing over the last 7 or 8 months, I suppose, that I didn't think that I would develop. And that is, I have this ritual, this routine that I kind of go through after completing every coloring page. Now, this doesn't matter if it's a page for YouTube or a page just for myself, even if a page, that no one ever sees. I've developed this thing and I thought I'd share it with you today because I think it's worth talking about little rituals that we have when it comes to our creativity and little things that keep us out of the rat race, that keep us in the flow, that keep us, I suppose, that help us slow down. Because I don't know about you, but a classic behavior of mine is as soon as I finish the page, I just want to jump onto the next one because I'll start sprouting ideas. I'll have inspiration from other areas. Heck, it might even be in the book that I'm actually coloring that I see another page and I just want to dive right in. So this is a way that I intentionally slow myself down to stay present in the process. And it's actually kind of become a type of meditation for me. And I use that word fairly loosely, but when I complete this little routine, I tend to just to go into this almost like a trance, and I find it really calming, and it's recentering, it's decluttering for me. So I thought I'd go through it. And I should mention that the book you're going to see today is from number one. The first book you're going to see is from Hannah Coleson's Midnight Masquerade. I've just finished that. And if you're interested, the page that you will see is up on the channel as another video on how to color party scenes. And you'll also be seeing a coloring book called The Hidden Creatures Coloring Book by, I think is it Osse Bulko? Yeah, it's like full on pattern book. Anyway, I love it. The first thing that I do when I complete a coloring page is I sit back and admire the page. And I don't just mean sit back and be like, I'm so amazing, I mean, sit back and just admire the journey that I have been on with this page. And that might sound a bit dramatic, but it can actually be so true for many of us. We might color a page and it's an element that we are really struggling with. It might be a page that we've colored in for the first time in a particular book by a certain illustrator that we've never approached before. It might be something that just has a lot of details and we just are hating it, or it might be something that was just really relaxing. So I like to just look at it for a little bit and just go, wow, look, I did a thing, because it's not often that a page is easy for me or that a page is just like, woof, whip it out and done. There's so much more going on behind the scenes than that. So I like to just admire the little journey that it's been. Pages can take 8 to 12 hours, sometimes plus if we're doing double page spreads. So I think it's important just to stop and have a look at that, not just, shut the book. And the second thing that I do is that I'll spray the book with a light fixative. I use the Microdor workable fixative, especially if I'm working with mediums like pan pastel or even Neocolor 2 to a degree, where I just need to settle things in. And PS, if I'm using pan pastel, I would have already sprayed it. But Prismacolor isn't light fast either. I like to spray a light layer in a well-ventilated area. This just helps keep the color just a little bit longer, just helps protect it. Even though the book is closed, it just helps the color stay there and be more vibrant for just that little bit longer. And then once I've sprayed it and once all that's settled, I actually just leave it out for a bit. So I might leave it out on my kitchen bench, on my table, and I just let it breathe. I just let the page actually have a bit of a presence in the house before I actually completely shut the book. I might not look at the page for another few weeks, which, I'll often film my completed pages video, so it'll feature there. But after that, I might not look at it for months. And so I think it's important just to give it a bit of airtime. If it is a page for YouTube and Instagram, then I will take photos of it. Sometimes if I really like it, then I'll send it to my mum, because I know she gets a kick out of certain pages as well. So I'll take a photo and be like, look at this. Sometimes I don't take photos of everything. There are pages that I don't put up on social media all that much. They're kind of just for me. And I think that's important for me as well. Not all of my creativity and art and stuff is for the whole world to see. And I think it's really important to keep some things for yourself. It's not just about what you can show, it's about what the artwork can do for you and what the whole process can do for you. So I definitely won't always take a photo. Now, the next thing I actually have a little record keeping notepad here. Notebook. I have a notebook here and I have the months tabbed and labeled in these nice little bitty bobbies. This is the most relaxing and meditative part for me. So what I do is I go through and I record all of my mediums into this book that I have used for this coloring page. Most of the time, I will start with the Prismacolors because that is the biggest list. Sometimes if I'm feeling it, I'll start with the other elements if I have them there. So I'll often start with the page number, the date, the book that it's in, what page it is. I'll just do like a quick little thing. And I try and list if it's a buddy color as well, just so I don't forget when I come to film the end of month video, because I don't want to leave anyone out. And funnily enough, I don't always record the colors in color combination order. Why? I don't know. I think this is part of how my brain works. I think I put them in color swatch order. I think number one, because I already know, if I were to look at a completed page, I know my prisms well enough to be able to know what colors are what in a certain combination. Sometimes I will put the combination there for a specific purpose, but often I'm just going to list the colors in color order because I tend to, as I'm swatching them and listing out the colors, I'll actually put them back in order. So I'll have my pencil case in front of me and then I have my swatch chart next to me and I'll put them back in order. So I always start with the light yellows first because that's what is on top of my list. I've certainly done it in color combination order before. For some reason, this is where my brain goes. It's what makes the most sense to me in my brain. I find it very therapeutic and it's a way for me to put all my colors back in color order as well. More often than not, when I'm completing a coloring page, especially when I'm using Prismas, I will just pick out everything and pull everything out if I'm searching for a number, and it's often a right mess. So I like to just put things back as I swatch them because I know that I am not missing anything. Don't ask me why. I would love to know, if you have a coloring record notebook, how do you record your pencils? Do you put them in color combination order? Do you put them in element or subject order? Do you put them in swatch order like I do? Are you random about it? I'd love to know. And usually after that, I will list my other mediums, such as gel pens, pan pastel, Neocolor 2s, or distress inks. Now, I don't usually swatch the distress inks or the pan pastels in the book, just because there's quite a lot of texture to them and things like that. I will just write down what they are, and that's fine. With the gel pens, I do swatch them, and I'll do a little color. The Sakura Jelly Roll is the only one where I'll actually write the number down because I have a bigger collection of the Jelly Roll than the other pens and I find it harder to tell what it is just by looking at it. The Ohuhu glitter markers do not have numbers or anything on them, so they just go on there, just in a swatch. The Artex markers, I'll swatch those down and write the numbers. And even when I've got my Pentel and Signo or any other brands, I will just write that it's Signo and I will color it in, and that's that, because I can tell what like range and what color it is just by looking at it. So for me with the Signo sparklings, I know it's a silver Signo sparkling. I don't have to write that it's a Signo sparkling because it's the only sparkly Signos that I have. And I usually, yes, I will include my whites as well, even though you can't see them, because I will just pop it in that I've used it. And even if I use a blender pencil, I'll just kind of make note of that as well. Now, the other thing that I do too, I always take this opportunity to take stock of my current Prismacolors, and I have a look at my restock section and I have a look at what I need to order, and I have a notepad beside me in which I write that down. So once all the pencils are back in the case, my case is actually big enough to fit both the colors that I'm currently using and my backup restocks as well, which I don't have every color in a restock. It just depends on what I've ordered at the time. Sometimes I might accidentally double up on some things. So I will go through this every time, and when a pencil gets to about halfway, even less, I'll just write it down because I only do an order, say, once a month at this stage, and I know that by the time I get to that order, the pencil may be even shorter. So I'll go through all 150 of them and I'll flip to the back, I'll double check, do I have it? Yep, okay, no worries. Okay, I don't have it, it goes on the list. And I wait till I get about 10 or a bit more before I'll pop in an order. And at that point, I always add a few Neocolor colors in too. So any any new ones as well. And I usually just buy all my restocks from theartshop.com because they have a really great price and a really good range. Once all that's done, I will pop the mediums back in their little cubby holes. I just have little spaces for them. I usually just pop everything back one at a time, and it's a good opportunity for me too, for any little baby pencils that I have, I will put those back. I have a designated drawer for those because I glue them together. You guys may have seen a short on how I glue pencils together. If not, just scroll through my shorts and you'll see like how I actually glue them with super glue if you're interested in that. And then of course I clean and reset my space, as you guys would probably relate to as well. Sometimes if you've been using other mediums, we have a whole lot of kit and gear that's out on the table. So if you're using distressed inks or pan pastel, you might have your pastels out, you'll have your implements, your tools, even like all your sponges, your finger daubers, you might have like palettes everywhere or microfiber cloths. It can actually get really messy really quickly. And I even find this when I color on my dining table, and I find that just gets like super messy. So I'll pop everything back, put my notebooks back. I leave my pencil case out because it just lives there. And then I'll give my mat a bit of a wipe down if I need to, because sometimes, especially if I've been working with pan pastel, I will have shavings everywhere and I need to clean it up. Yeah, and I find for me, the swatching part is the most meditative part of the process. I just love writing down all the pencils I've used because I often find that as I'm writing them all out and swatching them, that I'm often reflecting back on how I used that particular color on that page that I've just done. And sometimes I end up looking back at it quite fondly. So yeah, I find it's just a good way to stay present and kind of like stay with the page, and it mentally helps me just stay where I am for a little bit longer and helps me not to just bunny hop to the next thing, because I am quite prone to bunny hop to the next thing. It's just my little way of staying in the present moment, I suppose. And it just helps me process what I've done. It just helps me tie everything off in a nice, neat little bow in my mind, which I think is really important when it comes to creativity, isn't it? Is just to find a process that works for you and little routines and stuff that just help you stay present and help you stay focused on what you're doing. One of the other things that I do is after most pages, and especially if I've done one for filming and the filming has been full on, or even if it's just a page with a lot of details and my brain just needs a break, I will actually just pick a page that I would probably call like a reset page or like a diffuser page, something that for me, it just takes my mind to a different space. So for example, if I've been using a page that's heavily weighted with Prismacolors and shading and lots of pencil mediums, I'll naturally go for something that's completely different. So I might go for something with alcohol markers or acrylic markers for that matter. And especially, like I was saying, especially with really complicated pages, I'm gonna go for something super easy that's a little bit mind numbing that I can just switch off and color in. So definitely it might be a repeating patterns page, it might be a gel pen page, something where there's detail, but there's something that, say for example, if I've just done a huge page on shading, I don't have to worry about shading on this. It just helps me reset. It helps my mind refocus and it just calms me down a little bit, and it just helps me get into this meditative state, and it helps me keep my interest, because I do so much coloring for YouTube and sometimes I can run the risk of just turning into a robot and just wanting to overdo things and just like steamrolling the whole thing. Like once I get on a roll, I find it really hard to stop. And so this is a way for me to actually put the brakes on and just to slow down and to remind myself that there is a reason why I do this. And I suppose, yeah, for mindfulness too, one of the books that I'm really getting into lately is the Hidden Creatures book. I will pop the link down in the description if you would like to take a look at the book on Amazon if you like, because this book is single-sided. So I like using alcohol markers in it, and you can throw pretty much any medium at it, because not only is it single-sided, it's also very thick paper, so it's good to work in. And I think too, doing these kind of pages where I just kind of switch off, it really just helps prevent burnout for me, and it helps me to get out of the whole like creating content for content's sake. It helps me to stay grounded. It helps me to kind of circles me back and takes me back to that place about why I do what I do, and so that I don't just turn into a, content crunching machine, producing machine, because I know that with a lot of us, even if we're not filming content, even just with our everyday lives, with work, even just like other hobbies, We often need an in-between little activity just to keep us sane and to keep us connected back to our why and to keep us in a really nice flow state, I suppose. You know, it's well and good to have a goal to color X amount of videos per month, but if we're rushing or if we're not enjoying it or if we're just in it purely to try and compete with people because that's kind of like a natural subconscious thing that can come out, then we can lose the joy of it. And I certainly don't want to lose the joy of this. I certainly don't want to resent this. And I'm definitely someone that can just feel frazzled really quickly. So I'm very strategic about how I do things and why I do things. And so I find having these little diffuser pages really help. I would love to know in the comments, how do you process things in your mind after a coloring page? Do you have a routine? Do you record your colors in a notebook? Do you have reset pages that you go to after a completed page? And also, you know, is the opposite true? Once you've done a really easy page, are you up for a challenge? Do you like to dive into something a bit more complex like curvy pages or follow like a complex tutorial? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. It's so funny because I never thought that I would be someone that would have a post-coloring routine. I'm not really a routines kind of person. I am with some things, but if I try and create routines for myself, if I try and force them because other people are doing them, then I end up just bombing out like a week or two after. So I usually don't set out to make routines unless they just come out naturally and I've stuck with them organically for like 7-8 months, like I have with this little ritual that I have after every coloring page. So yeah, that's a little insight into my brain and how my little brain ticks and the things that I do to keep myself sane, I suppose, to prevent myself from becoming a coloring cruncher, so to speak, and less consumerist and more aware and more mindful of my surroundings and how I'm feeling about things. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this provided a little bit of fun, something a little bit different today. Yeah, I hope that it's provided a bit of a insight into my brain and how it works. Again, I would love to hear your post-coloring page, little rituals that you have if you have one, and also the things that you do to organize your pencils and your coloring supplies too. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.